So hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to learn about what are the commands to create a database, to use a database, to show a database. So let's see what are the commands to use, and also we are going to discuss on an interesting topic, that is SQL data types. So what are the data types, why we require data types, what is the importance of the data types, and for which particular field, which data type we have to use, that we also discuss. So let us go ahead. The last video, we have already discussed how to install the MySQL server and MySQL workbench. So just you have to open the MySQL workbench here and you have to make the connection. So here you have to go and enter the password. Once the connection is made, you can see this interface. Okay. So let us see the first command. So first we'll see how to see which all databases are there. So for that we have a command as show databases. So I'll just type here show databases and I will just execute it. So you can see here I've got output like information schema, MySQL, then performance schema and SYS. So you can see that MySQL has created some default databases. These are some default databases. These are some system databases. So which are used internally by the MySQL. So for now, we have not created our database. So it's all by default, it's what the system has and what the MySQL uses internally. Okay. So now how to create a database? For creating a database, we have to use the command as create. So we use a word create. So create, then what you have to create a database followed by the name of the database. So let's say I have to give the name, I have to create a school management database. So I'll just say school DB. Okay. So now how to execute this? So the command which you have to execute, you just select that and then execute. So here you can see that this command has been executed. So now we know what is show databases and create database, how to create a database. Now, for example, I have created 2, 3 databases. So how, for example, I have to use one of them database. Now here I have to use school database. So once I run here show databases now, so you can see here, earlier there were only 4 databases. Now school DB is also visible. Now from this all database, I have to choose school DB. So how to use that? So for that we have a keyword use. So use whatever database you have to use that name, that is school DB. So once you execute this, now your school DB database will be used. The further commands you will write that will be related to the school database. Okay. So this will basically switch your context to specific database. Now, what if I don't want a particular database? So here, I don't want a school database. I have to delete that database. So how you can delete that database? So the keyword is drop. So drop, and what you have to drop? The database. So how is the command going to be? Drop database and the name of the database school DB. So once I execute this command, drop database school DB. So the command is getting successfully executed. Now I will just see show database. Show database. What is the output? From here, the school database is not visible. It means my database got dropped. Now the school DB does not exist. Okay. Now I have dropped the school database, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a database which is not there at all. So let's say I'm going to drop test DB, like this some database. So what happens if I run this? So if I run this, the query is not executed, there is an error. So what this error says? Can't drop the database because the database doesn't exist. So you can drop a database only if it is exist, right? Okay. Now, so for that we have one keyword known as if exist. So I don't know. So we have created so much database. I don't know whether test database exists or not. So how we can say drop database if exists test db. Now if I run this command, see what happens. So it is not showing you error, but it is telling you one warning, can't drop database because it doesn't exist. So it is showing you the warning and not telling about the error. So it just tells that if exist command, what is this? If there is a exist, if this database exists, then it will be dropped. If it is not existing, it will show an warning that it is not existing. So this was all about some commands related to databases. So we learned about show database, which will list all the databases. Then how to create a database, to create a new database. Then how to use that database. It will basically switch to a database. Then we learn about how to drop a database and what is the significance of using if exist. Okay. All right. Now comes the most important conceptual part of the video, that is a data types. Okay. Now, why we require a data type? Now till now we learned about how we can create a database. Now we have to create a tables inside a database. Because before creating the tables, it is important that we have to learn about the database. So further we will see about the database. For that, I'm going to show you some slides. All right. Now let us start with the MySQL data types. So, uh, yes. So before starting what are the data types present in the MySQL, it is very important to know what is a data type actually. So why we require data type? So here you can see we have a column such as ID, names. uh, So here you have some columns such as ID, name, age, is active, fees. So these are some columns, right? So for each column, there are different values present there. For ID, it is 101. For name, there is a text. So there are different values for each column. Now, for each column, we also have a data type, int, varchar, tiny int, boolean, decimal. So now, what are these data types? How we decide for which column, which data type should be assigned? So that we are going to discuss. So when you create a table in MySQL, you're not just naming the columns. You're telling that MySQL that exactly what kind of data goes in each column. So, and that is what matters actually. So what is a data type? It's a kind of a value a column can store in the database table. So why it matters exactly? First is a data accuracy. Data accuracy. For example, if you define your age as an integer, so MySQL will reject the value of any string. For example, your column data type is integer and you're inserting value as a text. Let's say hello. So it will reject that value. Why? Because the data type is integer. It cannot accept that text value, right? So that is the importance for data accuracy within data types. Memory optimization. Now we'll learn about memory optimization. But for now, let's say we have to do data types in integer. It's tiny int and int. The tiny int, it is of the size 1 byte. The int is of the size 4 bytes. So if you know that for a particular column, my integer values are less. The value is not going to exceed much larger. So for that particular column, we can use tiny int and save our memory, right? If if I know that the value is going to be large, then we will use large size data sets like integer, 4 bytes. This is how memory optimization will be handled. Then third thing is about performance. Performance. Correct data types make queries faster. So if you're using a for a particular column of if you're using a correct data types, so it makes query to be run faster. So there is concept called as indexes which works better with the right data types. Now we will discuss indexes in the advanced SQL topics for in the further series. Then is the data integrity. What do you mean by data integrity? For example, decimal is there. Okay. The decimal prevents rounding errors in money. If you store salary as a float, you might get answer like 50,000.00001, etc. So if you have to round the digits of the decimal, Okay, so prevent the invalid or inconsistent data. So that is why data type matters exactly. Then is a better design. Better design. So our database is nothing but a structured database. So we have a structured tables. All the things are well organized and structured. So data types makes it more better by keeping the structure clean, scalable, and easy to maintain. Okay. So common data types in MySQL we will learn in this further video. Moving further. So before going further with the what are the data types present, important concepts you have to understand. Okay. Okay. So the first concept I'm going to introduce is about bit and byte. Many of you must be knowing this, but it is a basic concept and everyone must know because every data type has a different size and you should know which data type has which what is size of the each data type. Etc. So what is a basically a bit? The smallest unit of data in a computer. So when I say it is 1 bit, when I say 1 bit, it is nothing but it can store how many values? 2 raised to 1 values. So it can store two values, 0 or 1. Okay. So when I'm saying 1 byte, so when there are 8 bits, then 1 byte is completed. So 8 bits is nothing but 1 byte. What do you mean by 8 bits? 8 bits means 2 raised to 8. So 2 raised to 8. Okay. So how much is the value of 2 raised to 8? It is 256. So total 256 values can be stored. Okay. So these are some common conversions. So 8 bits is 1 byte. 1024 such bytes will give us 1 kilobyte. 1024 such kilobytes will form a 1 megabyte. 1024 megabyte will form 1 gigabyte, and so on. Then these are the pattern conversions. 1 bit, 2 values, 2 bits, 4 values, 8 bits, 256 values, 16 bits, 65,536 values, and so on. So as you can notice here, 2 values to 0, 1, 256 values from 0 to 255. This is the basic concept that everyone should know. Okay. Then one more concept is about signed and unsigned. So for that, what I'm going to, I will give an example of the integer data type basically. So in integer data type, we have the following data types: tiny int, small int, medium int, and big int. So here the sizes are mentioned: 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte, 4 byte, 8 byte. Okay. Now, so if the size of this is 1 byte, 1 byte means 8 bits. 1 byte means 8 bits. It is 2 raised to 8, that is 256 values. Now, 256 values. If it is unsigned, unsigned means if it is a positive. Unsigned means all the positive values only. It will not consider the negative value. It will show only the positive numbers. So if you are considering unsigned, then the 256 will be divided like range will be from 0 to 255 because 0 is also included. So 0 to 255. So total 256 digits will be there, right? But if it is a signed range means we have to consider both the negative as well as the positive and 0. So negative will also consider positive also and 0 also. So here the range will be from what? Divide 256 by 2. What you will get? 128. So it will start from minus 128 and go till minus 2, minus 1, 0. So from 0 it will again go. Then 128, it is 0 to 127. So here the range will be from minus 128 to plus 127. So this is the difference between signed and unsigned. So signed stores both negative as well as positive, but unsigned stores only the positive numbers, 0 and above that. Okay. So I hope you understood what are data types actually, why it matters, and this is some basic concepts like bit, byte, signed, unsigned. And we have also discussed about this integer data type. We'll discuss more about it further. So we'll go to that document where all the data types are mentioned and we will see examples for each data type. And I will uh, practically show you by implementing that through MySQL. Okay. So let's go there. So this is a document where I have mentioned all the MySQL data types which are necessary and important. almost I've covered all of them. First one is the integer types, exact values. So data types include um, tiny int, small int, medium int, big int. So these are all the. So what is the difference between all this? It is just a storage. So you can see that what are the storage, the range of values they can store, and the storage size. So depending upon the use cases, what all range you want, according to that, you can use the different type of data type of integer, right? So we have also discussed about the signed and unsigned. Next is about fixed point types. What do you mean by fixed point types? Exact value. So in that case, we have two decimal and numeric. And in MySQL, both the things, decimal and numeric, both the data types are equivalent. Okay, same. Okay. So when we use a decimal data type, so decimal, for example, we have to store salary. Salary decimal, precision, comma, scale. What is this precision and what is this scale? So precision tells you about how many digits number you want. So let's say I'm going to write decimal 5 comma 2. It means the total digits will be 5, and after decimal only 2 digits will be there. So total digits are 5, 99999. So these are 5 digits, but after decimal 2 digits are there. Okay. So the values can be stored in the salary column range from now 5-digit numbers. So it will range from minus 999.99 to plus 999.99. If you have used here 4 comma 2, it will be ranging from minus 99.99 to 99.99. Okay. So I hope you got it. Now what is the default value of M? If you have not mentioned that M value, that is a precision value. So default value is 10. And if you have not mentioned the scale, the default scale is 0. That is no decimal, after decimal point, no value. Okay. Now what does numeric m comma 2 means? It is same as the decimal as I have discussed. So till now we have covered about the integer data type and fixed point data type, right? I will show you one demonstration. For that I required this numeric type attributes. So let us discuss about this first. Unsigned we have already discussed. It will remove the negative values. Zero field. What is a zero field? It will pad values with zeros. Auto increment automatically increases the number, and sign it is always positive and negative numbers. Now we'll understand the zero field and auto increment with the help of an example. Okay. So let's say I'm going to my MySQL workbench. Now this is the thing which I've already discussed today. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the school database, okay? Because we have dropped it earlier. I'm executing this. So the database is created. Now I have to use that. So I will execute this use school database. Okay. Now I am in the school database. So I'm just here canceling this. Now inside this, I'm just going to create a table. For now, you have to understand what is data type. Don't don't get confused what syntax I'm writing now, because for giving you a tutorial about a data type I need to create a table, then only I can give you. Simply I'm just creating a table. We will discuss more about this in the next video when we are going to see about this commands, SQL commands. So now I'm going to create a table. Let's say student table I want to create, and in that table I want some values. Let's say I want the student ID. So STD ID. Now, then I want age. Then I want roll number. Then I want marks. Now, let's say I have these 4 columns I want in the student table. Now, as I mentioned, for each column you have to specify the data type. Now, for student ID, what should be the data type? So let's say I'm using int data type. So int, I'm using the int data type. Okay. For age, let's say for student, the age will be very less. Let's say from ranging, it will be below 20, below 25, 30 only. So what I will write? Tiny int. I will use tiny int. I will reduce the memory space. Roll number. Let's say my roll number is of 5 digit only. So I'm using int 5. Okay. And marks. Let's say my marks are also int. Okay. Now I'm going to demonstrate about that signed, unsigned, auto increment and zero fill. So let's say student ID. Now, as you can recall in the first lecture, we have discussed about something called as a primary key, which is nothing but a unique identification of all the records. So in this case, my student ID is a unique identification. And I want that unique identification as for the first student one, second student two, third student three, like this and so on. So when we use auto increment, when we want to increment a particular number by one, and I'm also going to make it as a primary key. So these are the two things I have done now. Auto increment, primary key. I will show you the demonstration of the auto increment. Then age. No, age. For age, do we require a negative number? No. Do we require only positive numbers we require? So we can write it as unsigned because we don't require negative numbers. So age, tiny and unsigned. Roll number. So yes. Now here I will show you the concept of zero fill. What is zero fill? It will basically pad. So as I mentioned in 5, the particular number will be only of 5 digits. If I give the input as 1, it will pad the rest 4 digits as 0. So it will become 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, this is what I. Then marks int. So here I'm not using anything. Okay, so I'm just now creating this table. So once I create this table, execute. For explaining this, I need to insert some record in this table. So I'm going to insert into my table, that is student, and I'm going to give it, now see what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to give the age, roll number, and marks. Okay. Values, I'm going to mention it as, let's say age is 15, roll number is 34, and marks are, let's say, 85. So when I execute this command, so it is executed. Now I want to display it. So for display, we use select statement. Okay. Select star from table name, that is a student. So let's say let us display. So see what you can see here is student ID 1, age 15, roll number 00034. Because I have mentioned it as an int 5. So rest all 3 digits will be padded with the 0 and marks as 85. Okay. Now what I will do is I will just now insert like this. Insert. Now I have given age as unsigned. So what if I give it as a negative number? So if I insert as a negative number, it will show an error. What the error shows? Out of range value for column age. Why out of range? Because it is unsigned. Its range is from 0 to 255. So negative numbers will not be allowed. Okay. Also, now let's say this is 17. Now I'm going to run it again. Executed. Now just select student. Now you can see here something you can notice. So while inserting, I did not insert the student ID. I only inserted age, roll number, and marks. Why I did not insert? Because I have used this something called as an auto increment. What does auto increment do? For the first record, it is giving student ID as 1. For the second record, it's automatically giving the student ID as 2. Like this. Okay. What all things it? So zero fill is shown, unsigned is shown, and auto increment is shown. This is all right. So this is all about the integer data type what you are using, right? Let's say if you want to use a decimal also. So let's say, for example, how we can marks. For marks only, we will write a decimal in in the percentage form, we will write. So marks, and here I will write percentage. Percentage out of 100, how much you got. So what will be my value? Decimal. And I required how much digits? 3 digits. And I required how much? 5 digits. And after decimal 2, because 100.005 digits after decimal 2, it can be 98 point something. Okay. So I required this many digits. So how we can store now? Now what happened is we are adding one more. So I'm just creating another table. Let's say student one. I'm not editing in the same table, running it. Student one has ran. Okay. So student one has ran. Now I am going to insert this data in student one table. Age, roll number, marks, comma. I am going to also insert a percentage. Okay. So percentage value. Now let's say I'm writing 98.678785. Whatever. Here also I'm writing percentage as, let's say, 99.9999. Okay. Now let's execute this. Insert into student one. Okay. Inserted the value. Now just select student one. Select start from student one. So what we are getting 115. See the percentage value. As we have written only, we require how many digits? 5 digits. What it is doing basically, after decimal we require only 2 digits. So 68 is there. And before decimal there will be 3 digits. So 98.68 like this. So let's say I'm writing now, I'm inserting this student one. So let's see. Here I'm going to do 100. Okay, I'm writing this 100. Nothing mentioning 100. So inserted. Now we will just select. So the second will get 100.00 if I want to mention. So even though I have mentioned 100, it is still showing after decimal point 2 digits, and total we have 5 digits now. Okay, you got it? I think this is enough to get understand with the integer data type and fixed point types. Okay, now we'll move on to the floating point types, that is approximate value, float and double. The float, it is just the approximate values. The size of the float is 4 bytes and double is 8 bytes. Basically, when we use float is we use for scientific measurements when approximate values are okay, statistical calculations, or for coordinates, latitude, longitudes, etc. And for any value where a tiny imprecision is acceptable because this is not precise. So now we will have a demonstration about this floating and double data types. So let's say I'm altering the same table. So my table name was student first table, that is student table. So I'm altering the table student and I'm adding the columns such as, let's say, add column GPA. It is a float value. Okay, float value. Then, then I'm adding one more column, add column. So what are these commands I'm writing? Alter table, add column, etc. We will see this in the further videos. Now only for demonstrating purpose, I'm writing this. You only focus today on what data types actually are and how they are working. I'm going to only focus on that. Basically. Double. Okay. uh, okay. Now I'm going to execute this and my table is altered, right? Now, I'm going to do, I've already inserted one value. As you know, I have already inserted one student value. So I'm going to just update that record. So update my table, that is a student table. And what I have to update, I have to set, I've added two columns. I have to set the GPA, let's say is equal to 9.95, comma, distance, kilometer, let's say equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.678901234, whatever. So I mentioned here where I have to update where my student, what I have used for student ID, STD ID, yes. So I use STD ID where my student ID is equals to 1. So where my student ID is 1, update this. So once it is updated, now if I select the student, student table, not student one, student table. Now what you can see here, if I run, so you can see here for the first record, GP is updated 9.95, distance kilometer is updated, right? Now I'm going to show you some interesting thing, okay? So let's say I'm writing here select cast point one, sorry, cast point one as float plus cast point two as float. What do you think? What will be the answer? Point one is a float number, point two is a float data type. So what should be the answer? What do you think? Just think, pause the video and think. So if I run this, what answer I'm getting is C. 0.3000044703 now. These are nothing but that's a floating point imprecision. Now what I am doing here, I'm copying this, copying as it is. Now I am using here it as, don't use it as a float, use it as a decimal. Use it as a decimal 10, 2 by default values, and this also uses a decimal 10, 2 these are by default values. Now what happens if I run this now? So let's see the difference. What happens? 0.30 because I'm using two decimals, so two decimals are there. So what is the difference between these two, float and decimal? So when I'm running it as a float, casting it as a float, it is showing you this. And when I'm casting you as a decimal, it is showing 0.3. Let's see what is the difference. So this difference will be a floating point increase in precision. Okay. Let's say my data is related to finance, money. So that's why we will not use a float data type because it can show, as you can see, it will store the data as like this. So we need their precision. We need their precision. So whenever we are in the financial data or data is related to money or prices, we will avoid using float data type. We will use a decimal data type. So this is the difference between the float data type and the decimal data type. I hope you understood about this, and I'm trying to explain in the best way possible. Okay, by demonstrating it. And further data type is about bit value type. That is a bit. A bit value data type. What do you mean by bit? Bit, we have already learned smallest rate of data. So bit M, where M ranges from 1 to 64. So let's say we have a data. How you can use permissions bit 4. Now when you are using bit as 4, it is nothing but 2 raised to 4. It means how many? 16. But what does bit actually mean? Bit actually means it will store the data like this in bits 0, 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, 1 like this. So it will store the binary bit. If I storing bit 4, store the binary bit from 0, 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, 1. If you're storing bit 2, it will store 0, 0 to 1, 1. And you know 0, 0 to 1, 1 means 4 combinations 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. That is 2 raised to 2, 4. So 4 combinations will be there. What is the maximum bit size? M ranging is from 64 to 64 bits is the maximum. That means 64 bits is nothing but 8 bytes. As we have already discussed about it, 1 byte is nothing but 8 bits. 64 bits will be 8 bytes. Now let's say what is the difference between bit and boolean. Okay, so bit, as I already told you, that storage is a binary bit. Okay, and it is used for the binary storage. Boolean, Boolean what it stores? True false, that is 1 0. So true false readability. Actually, Boolean is nothing but a tiny int. In the internal working of Boolean is a tiny int 1. Tiny int 1 means either 0 or 1. Okay. Now I switch to the workbench. Let's say I am now altering the table again. Alter table student. Student, yes. Alter table student. Now I am adding one more column. So add column. Let's say permission. Permissions is a column for which I'm giving the data type as a bit. I'm adding one more column, add column is active. Is it active student? So for that, is it active, true or false? That means your data type will be Boolean. And yes. So once I alter this, I've altered my table. Now I have to update the record. So let's say I'm updating a record, update the student. Just copying this. Now here I have to set two things. One is the permissions. Okay. So set permissions. is equals to B1010. This B represents is a binary or byte. We're storing it in bits, binary representation. So B1010, comma, is active is equals to true because it is a Boolean true false is equals to true where student ID is equals to 1. So when I run this command, what I'm going to get is updated. Now I'm just selecting this particular student, select star from student, updating the student one record. What happened? It's not updated. So it is not updated. Why it is not updated? Unknown column G permissions. Let's say, okay, we have done here typing mistake of the permissions. Now we'll update. So it's got updated. Now we'll see when the modifications are done. So yes, so you can see your permissions value as 10. So it is a 10 in decimal. We have stored it in binary. 1010 is nothing but 10. So we have stored the number in binary, but display, when you display it, it is storing as a 10, right? So it is an integer representation. Then also is active. What you have given as an input true. True is nothing but 1 in integer representation. Yes. Now, what I'm going to do is see. Now I'm going to select. Let's say I want only the two columns, permission and is active. So I'm going to select permissions, comma, is active, these two columns from the table student, from the table student. So when I run this, what I will get only the two columns. So I'm getting the value as 10, 1. Now, what if I don't want the integer value representation? Sorry, I want the original representation, that is a binary representation. For that, I'm going to use the one function called as bin. This is a bin function, bin permissions as permissions. So for the syntax, don't worry about that. We'll study this in the further lectures. Today, only understand about what are data types. So let's say what is the mobile? You can see 1010. Now you can see it in the binary form, right? It will convert back to the binary string. It will convert into binary string. Okay. Now I guess I have covered all about this. So till now we have covered about the integer data type, fixed point data type, floating point data type, bit, Boolean. Also understood about the difference between float, decimal, what is the difference between bit and Boolean, and when to use what data types, all we have understood. The next type is date and time data types. So these are very, very important data types. Okay. Date and time data types. These are especially essential for very real world applications. Let's say date. What are things you have here? Date, time, timestamp, year. So these are the storage 3 bytes, 8 bytes, 4 bytes, 1 byte. So if you want to store only date, let's say birth date. So what is the format of the date? Year in 4 numbers, then month and the date. Similarly, for the lecture time, what is the format? Hour, minutes, seconds, date time. Another data type is date time, which is 8 bytes. It will store both date and time as well. So how it will store? First, it will store the date and then it will show the time. So date time, this will be created at date time, let's say. So what will be the input to this? First the date and then the time. Now what this timestamp means? Timestamp is also date plus time, but with the time zone conversion. What do you mean by this time zone conversion? I will tell you further. Here also, date time does not handle the time zone conversion. Whatever value inserted is stored exactly as it is. So if I inserted this particular date, it will be stored as it is. But when you are using timestamp, it will follow the time zone conversion. And I will demonstrate you about the time zone conversion. Before that, let's complete this also. Year. What is a year? It will store only the year. Okay. So now let us do some demonstration regarding the date and time data types. So basically, as usual, I'm going to alter the table and add some columns related to these data types. So alter table, student, and I'm going to add column, let's say date of birth. So birth date, and I need only the date. So I'm using the date data type. Let's say I'm going to add column lecture time. Let's say lecture time. I'm going to add the time data type here. Then add column created at. Now in this column, I want to store both date and time as well. So I'm going to use as a date time and data time. And add column updated at column updated at updated at. Let's see here I'm using timestamp data type. Okay. Okay. Now here I'm going to write something called as default current timestamp. So when I write this current timestamp, whatever system time is there, that will be stored there. Current system time. Okay. Then on update, so yeah, the default is current timestamp, and if I update it later, current timestamp on update, if I update it later, so on update also use the current timestamp. Current timestamp. Okay. So this is I'm adding a column here. I'm adding one more column. Let's say admission year. Admission year where I'm going to use the year data type, and adding one more column. Here comma is not there. Column. Let's say precise time. Precise time. I'll let you know for what I'm using these columns. So date time and using three precise. Now I'm going to alter this. So so I have updated the table, alter the table. Now what I'm going to do, update the particular record that is of student ID 1. So whatever new columns I've added, I need to add the values to that. So let's say I need to set things such as I'm going to set the birth date, right? Birth date is equals to, what is the format of the date? Year, month, and date. So let's say date is 2005, month is let's say July, and date is let's say 12. So this will be the format of storing the date. Then I have to store the lecture time. So lecture time, what was the format of the time? Lecture time. Format of the time data type are minute and seconds. So here let's say 14 colon 30 colon seconds. Sorry, colon 30. Why it is not working? Colon 30 colon, let's say 45. So this I have added. Okay. Then I have to store created at. Created at, what is the data type here? Date time. So I need to add both date type. Let's say 2026 and let's say May, then 29. So this is a date. And I have to also store the time. For time, I need to use this time format. Right? So this is how I have stored a date time. Then next is the timestamp. By default, it is got current timestamp. So it is not required for me to give the input here. So I will directly give the input of the admission year. Let's say my admission year is equal to 2026. This is my admission year. Then precise time I will also write. Precise time. What is the precise time? It is of the format date, time, and 3. Let's written. So let's say what does this mean? That means 2026, say 5, 29, 14, 30, 45. But 3, I'm also going to store the milliseconds. I'm also going to store the milliseconds. This is what the meaning of this date time 3. So after this, 3-digit milliseconds also I'm going to store. Where's the ID 1? Now I'm going to update this details. So the details are updated. Now let's select see this details. Select star from student. So when we execute this command, so you can see here all the things are updated. Yes, is active. So these are the things. Next, birth date, it is updated. Then lecture time is updated, created at, updated at, like this. Now, can you see here created at, sorry, updated at? I have not here mentioned about updation, anything, right? Then also you can see here some time that is nothing but a current timestamp. So you can see the current timestamp, it is the current date stored 2026, 29 May 2026, and the time currently is 9:41. So, okay, this is how it is stored. Just and then admission here, precise time. This also can see here in milliseconds. Okay. So now how to check the current time zone that so let's say I'm going to select add rate global time zone global dot time zone, okay, comma add rate session dot time zone. If I run this into this command, what it will give you is my global time zone is a system time and my session time is nothing but a system time. Now, okay, now see here. Now I'm inserting it one data. Let's say insert into student. Let's say I'm going to insert age created at, and I'm going to insert updated at. I want to show the difference between the timestamp and the date time data type. Okay. Values. So what values I'm going to store? I'm not inserting any other fields. These three fields I'm inserting. Say 20 now, comma now. What does this now means? Let's understand. So I'm executing this. It is executed successfully. Now if I select start from student, so you can see our data is inserted, right? Third data. So here, what you can see, the age is 20, student ID is 3 as it is auto incremented and created at 29 May 2026, 9:46, that is 20:46. And same time updated at, because I've used here now function, it means that current system time, current global time, and current session time will be there. So current system time, whatever it is there, it will be stored there. Okay. So now both show the same value right now, but if you change the session time zone, now what I'm going to do is change the session time zone. So set time zone equals to plus, let's say plus 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. So I'm setting the time zone like this. I'm going to just execute it. Now what we will do, we'll just select what we have to select student ID. We have to select, or we can just run the select statement from here. Executed. Now see the difference. Now see the difference. Now here the created at, it is giving me the system time zone that was there already 29 May 2026 and 9:46, 21:46. But updated at, now this shows some difference. See it? Created stays exactly the same, but the updated timestamp, but updated at columns time has shifted to UTC. That's a time conversion. So UTC is nothing but plus 5 hours 30. Sorry. Uh, our Indian standard time is plus 5 hours 30. I have what I have given here, UTC time. So for UTC time, it is behind 5 hours 30 minutes. So it has gone behind 5 hours 30 minutes. Okay. So you can see there is a difference between 5 hours 30 minutes. So if I want to set the time zone back, so again I'm going to do set time zone is equals to plus 0, 5 30. So this will now become my Indian Standard Time, IST. Okay, this was nothing but UTC. Now I'm running this command. It is executed. Now again, if I run select star from students, now see what it will show. It will show you the same time now. This is created and updated at. So basically what I want to tell you is the date time data type, it is fixed. Whatever we store, that value is there. But the updated, what we are using the for the column updated at, that is a timestamp data type. It will change according to the conversion. So time zone conversion will be applicable to that. So this is the difference between both the data types. So I hope you understood the difference. Now let us see more about this. I'm going to show you one image. So this is very important concept if you want to gain a knowledge about this timestamp. So by what exactly this timestamp is? So it stores time as a number of seconds passed since. Actually, it stores the time as a number of seconds passed since 1970 January 1. So from this date till now, how many number of seconds has there according to that corresponding to that particular time zone is stored. So for example, here, uh, the traditional timestamp, it uses 4 bytes. That's 4 bytes. Out of which the 1 byte is a sign bit, remaining 31 bits. So the maximum value where it is 2 raised to 31 minus 1. Okay, this is 2 raised to 31 minus 1. So the maximum value can be this. So these many seconds is nothing but from this 1970. If we add these many seconds, you will get this date. That is 2038, 19 January 2038, and the time is 3:14 and 7 seconds. UTC. UTC. Please note it says UTC. Time zone is UTC. So after this moment, after 2030 or this particular date, whichever date it will store, it will be nothing but the overflow. After this moment, overflow will occur. This is known as the year 2038 problem. Because the particular timestamp data type can only store these many seconds from 1970. From this particular date, that is known as a Unix epoch. The starting point is nothing but a Unix epoch. The timeline is nothing but this is a 0 second, that was the Unix epoch point, and the maximum can be this. Beyond this, there will be overflow. Now, how this conversion happens actually? Suppose we are storing today's date, 29 May, sorry, this date, 29 May 2024, 12 UTC. So this date, it will be converted. How it will it will find how many seconds are there from 1970, that is from the epoch, from the Unix epoch, how many seconds till this date, and then it will store it in a timestamp, and then you will get this particular date. So I hope you understood about this. So basically, difference between date, timestamp and date time is this stored as a unique seconds, it is stored as an actual date. It is a time zone aware, and this is not a time zone aware. Here the range is from 1970 to 2038. Here the range is from 1000 to 9999. Okay. Here you get a larger storage, but here you get a smaller storage, but this is actually a time zone aware. So this is the basic difference between both of these. Then let's have some discuss about, we have already discussed about this date time 3. I've used the demonstration. This is nothing but it will support the milliseconds also. It will store the milliseconds also. So this is the overview about the date time data sets. So what is the range of a date time? You can go through this. We'll move on to the next data type, that is the string data types. Now in the string data types, we have many important data types that we'll be using, such as char, varchar, text. So these are the 3 main data types. Another data types we have such as enum, set, binary, blob. So what exactly it is? So basically when you talk about char, so it is nothing but it will store a fixed length of text. Varchar, it will store a variable length of text. For the large text, you'll make use of text data type. If you want a single predefined value, then you will use an enum. If you want multiple predefined values, use a set. If it is a binary string, you can use this binary, var binary. And if it is a binary large objects such as images, files, then you can use a blob data type. So let us explore these data types. So let's say example, gender char 1. So it means you can store only one character of symbol length, length 1. So it can be either M or F. This is a one length character. If it is a character 3, you can store three length characters. So here I am storing value as high. So it is nothing but two characters, H and I, two characters are there. But how actually it is stored? Actually, in the memory space, it is stored with a space. So actually, it is stored as a high space because we have declared character as a 3, size 3. So it is padded with a space. The maximum size can be 255 characters. So what is the difference between character and varchar? It is a fixed length and pads with extra spaces, while varchar stores only actual data. So if I am writing a varchar 3 and storing high, it will only store it as a 2 character. But char will store it as a 3 character with a space. Okay. So here also I am writing name varchar 100. So here my value has 5 characters. So it will only store 5 characters. It will not pad the remaining 95 characters with space. Okay. So this is about char and varchar. Next is a text data type. In the text data type, we have other options as tiny text, medium text, long text. So, and the maximum size is written here. So, text data is itself is a data set with, if you want to store a huge amount of text. In that also, you have different sizes, 255 bytes, 65 KB, 16 MB, 4 GB. So, till 4 GB, you can store texts. There is a enum. So why you use ENUM? You have to store one value, but that one value should be from a predefined list. So here I have a predefined list A, B, C, D, F. So out of these five values, I can store only one value. Okay, then set. What is a set? Here you can choose multiple predefined values. For example, skills, set, Java, Python, SQL. If I want to choose any two, so I can choose. But in enum, I can choose only one. So this is the difference between enum and set. We will have now demonstration about the string data types. So now we go to a workbench. We have already created a database. I will just now alter the tables and add some columns. So alter the table student, add a column. Let's say I'm adding column gender and data type I'm keeping as a character. One. Then I'm adding one more column, add column name. Here I'm giving variable character data type. Let's say 100. comma. Then add a column, one more column, let's say address, varchar, let's say 255. Then I'm adding one more column, add column, bio. So now bio, it is a large text. So I'm, let's say, adding a data type as a text. Add a column, grade. Now for grade, I want to choose from a predefined list. So I'm writing enum and let's say grade A or B or C or D. Out of these four, you have to choose anyone and add a column. Let's say skills. Skills, I'm giving it a set because I can choose one or more predefined values. So let's say Java, Python, SQL. Okay. Yes. So I will run this command now. Okay. Now I will update the record that I have already inserted. So let's say update student set. What are we have updated gender. So let's say gender is equal to M male because one character is there. Then name, say name is equals to XYZ like this. Okay. Next, what we have added address. Let's say address is ABC Road, Mumbai. Okay. Next thing is bio. Let's say in bio we are writing passionate computer science student who loves databases. Okay. Next, grade. So in grade, I can choose only one value from predefined list, either A, B, C, or D. Let's say I'm choosing A. So A. Then is skills. I can choose more than one values. Let's say I'm choosing Java, SQL. Okay. So these two things I'm choosing. Okay, done. Where I have to update this, where the student ID, STD ID is equals to 1. I will run this, executed. Now I will run the select statement, select star from student. Run this. You can see here more columns are added: gender, name, address, bio, grade, and skills. Okay. So I hope you understood what are the string data types. Okay, now we'll understand the difference between the var data type and varchar data type. Okay. So for that, I'm going to create one table for the demonstration. Let's say create table char varchar demo. Let's char varchar. And here I'm going to add some records. Sorry, add some columns. Let's say ID, int, and let's say it's a primary key, auto increment. Okay. One more column I'm going to add is a fixed code. That will be a character data type of, let's say, 10. And another column I'm going to add variable text. Variable text of varchar data type. Again, it's 10. Okay. So this table I'm going to create. So once this table is created, yes, executed. Now I'm going to insert some data into it. Let's say insert into char varchar. Char varchar table, what I'm going to insert? Two columns, fixed code, comma, variable text. So values. So let's say I'm inserting high here and also same high here. Okay. So I will just execute this command. Executed. Now if you run a simple select statement, select star from char varchar. So if you run this, you can see here the output 1 high high. So okay. Now because I have stored both the text high high, that's why it is showing high output. Now both the columns look identical. So where is the difference? So I will show you the character length now. So let's select fixed code, comma, character length. This is the function, character length of that fixed code. Okay. As char length. Okay. Comma. The next column was our variable text. Variable text, comma, char length of that variable text. Variable text as let's say varchar length. Okay. From which table? Char varchar. Let's execute this. So what you can see here, uh, unknown column variable text. So we have a spelling mistake here. Variable text. Okay. Now we'll run this. Okay, so what we got here, the character length is true, also the varchar length is true. But what internally happens? Internally, when we say char 10, and if my value of char is high, that is 2 characters, the remaining 8 characters will be added with space. But when we retrieve the length, the space will not be visible. We'll only get the count as 2. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next demonstration of the ENUM. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is update student set grade equals to, let's say, E. We have not mentioned E in the list. So we have only A, B, C, D. Now what will happen if we mention E here? Where std id equals to 1. So let's say if I do this. So there is an error, update student set grade. What is the error? Data truncated for column grade at row 1. Because we don't have that character E in the predefined list. So we can't store it. Okay. Also, what if I try to uh, put more than one character or more than one value? So let's say A comma B. What will happen here? Execute. Again, there will be error because in ENUM you cannot put values more than one. You can only select one value, right? So this is a demonstration for ENUM. Similarly, what if I am going to update the skill set? Okay, skills. So skills, yes, skills is equals to, let's say I'm using some like Java, comma, C++. You know that C++ is not there in the list. So what will happen? If it is not there in the list, there will be error. What is the error? Data truncated for columns at row 1. Okay, so that is an error. What if I updating only to Java? It will get updated only one value. So yes, it will be successful, right? Java, comma, SQL, comma, Python, all three values. Then also it will be get successful because we can put the values successful. Okay. I hope you understood about the stream data types. We covered var, varchar, text. Then also about the enum and the set. Now we will try to understand about the blob dataset. When we use a blob data type, sorry, not dataset, data type. So when blob data type is used, it is a binary large object. It is majorly used to store the images, large images, audio, video, PDFs, or any type of files you have to store. There also you can see many data types, tiny blob, blob, medium blob, long blob, depending upon the size, you can use them. Okay. Now what is the syntax for it? So when if you want to insert, let's say creating a table and this photo long blob. So I'm using a data type long blob. So when you have to insert that, you have to just use this function load file and your file name. And when you have to extract or retrieve that blob data, select photo into dump file, your file name from this table where ID equal to 1. So like this. So this is an example just to uh, tell you how we can use a blob data type. Okay. So I hope you understood about all the data types what we have learned today. So we have covered almost all data types of MySQL. What I'm going to show is I'm going to show you one command, describe student. So describe the table data table name. So what happened if I run this? Describe student. Okay, now what you can see here, every column of that table is visible. Student ID is of the type integer, primary key, and extra what we have auto increment we have used. Age tiny int unsigned. Okay, then roll number int 5 unsigned 0 field. Then marks int GPA float, distance kilometer double, permission bit 4. So like this, see how many whatever data type we have learned today, we have covered this all in a single table. A single table. So int, tiny int, float, double, bit, date times, timestamp, year, then date time with millisecond, char, varchar, text, enum, set. So all this we have covered today, right? Now here also timestamp and date time we have discussed about the difference between date time and timestamp. Then we have discussed difference between character and varchar. Similarly, discussed between unsigned, signed, zero field, auto increment. So we have learned all the data types and also implemented them through SQL. So I hope you have understood everything, and that's all for today's video. In the next video, we are going to learn about how we can create a table, how we can insert columns in that table, how we can alter the table, how we can update the table, and what is the primary key, and other constraints. Okay. So if this video helped you, do like, share, and subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon to get the notifications of it. So yes, thank you. Keep learning.